Hello, Sax Gang.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? All right, we are live. We're gonna wait for Leo to call in,
Hey, what's up?
but definitely live on YouTube. Hey, Trissa. Welcome to Office Hours, everybody. What's up, Thomas? Hi, Rama. Hey. All right, so Leo's gonna call in to Two Saxies. We're live on YouTube. Oh, we got our glasses on. It is official. It's
All right,
Friday.
I requested.
Okay, I
It's
see you.
Friday.
It's Friday. Hi, Taran. Hi, Glenn. Friends on YouTube. Hi, Romaine. Thanks for joining us.
Romaine. Oh, I love that name, Romaine.
Yeah, that's a great name. Caleb, good morning.
It's the most trippy
James says,
thing.
bro, I am so glad it's Friday.
Oh yeah.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're talking to Romaine or not. Um, that's a cool name,
It
yo.
is a cool name.
I'm putting that on my book of possibilities for future
Romaine.
children.
Oh, for future kid. Well, do you know Cale Hawkins? He's a great multi-instrumentalist.
I don't think I do.
He spells it with a C. Can you imagine if your future kids were Romaine and Kale?
Oh my God. It's kind of amazing.
It's kind of good. I really dig that. Are there any other like vegetable, other really catchy vegetable fruit?
I feel like cabbage is kind of a cute name.
Cabbage with a short, like a nickname of what would the nickname? Cab?
Yeah, Cabby.
Cabby. Oh, that's cute.
It's like Gabby.
I love it. Travis
Cabbage
is
is
asking
cool.
if he likes lettuce. Honestly, Romaine, you're probably so tired of hearing these questions, right? Um,
Spinach.
Spinach, nickname Spin. Ooh,
Yeah, I like
wait, that's cool.
spin.
Yo, what's up, Spin?
I like spin.
I like Spin too. Maybe
I
you need to
love.
have more kids so they can be romaine, kale, spinach, and cabbage. Wow.
Yeah,
And Pellegrinos. That's pretty baller. Oh, radish. Caleb's saying radish.
radish.
Rad. Oh, then your nick. Whoa. Then your short name can be Rad.
Rad.
Like, I'm so rad. My name's Rad.
It's hard. I feel like it's hard to pick out names because, like, for me, I feel like I want it to be not too common, but I also don't want it to be too, like, ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Like when the Hollywood parents pick some of the most ridiculous sounding names.
X7Y225 324. Isn't that like Elon Musk has like a kid named like
Yeah, and Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom, they named their new baby something that I was like, oh, that is a little more out there. Definitely
yeah,
pop culture.
yeah,
Yeah, Elon Musk. I don't know, it's like all these there definitely is a line of like getting too
yeah.
complicated, I
Well,
think.
it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but it's like, it's just gonna make things difficult in life, certain things. Every time you go to the passport, or every time you sign your name or go to like get a passport or any of that kind of stuff, it's just gonna be really painful.
Yeah.
You know what I
Hey,
mean?
yeah, I know. Hey, Instagram fam. Somebody's mentioning there's an echo. Is
Okay.
that better? I'm gonna put headphones on. If so, it might have came from my end. YouTube, let us know if you're hearing us okay. All right. So we are gonna do a Q&A edition for this office hours. And we got some great questions that came in already through our IG stories. By the way, everybody, all of our family on Instagram, we are dropping that content real soon. I know we put out a teaser the other day, and y'all showed up. Y'all commented, which is amazing. We're just working on some post-production to make it extra dope for you, but coming at you soon. All right, so let's go through some questions. Uh, so Sarah N Pictures asked, "Is sax your first instrument, and if so, why did you choose it first?"
Um, clarinet was my first instrument, and I guess I'll give the reason is because my mom had a clarinet, and I just wanted to get ahead of the game because like I guess they wouldn't let you like start an instrument in my elementary school until like fourth grade or something. I don't know because they had limited instruments
Right.
or something like that where I was just like, oh, my mom has a clarinet, so I'll just start that.
Yeah. I also started on clarinet, but I think, I, well, no, sorry, I started on classical piano when I was 6, and before that, I was always singing. I loved to sing, making up my own songs. Clarinet was really tough for me though, and my public school made me start with that, even though I really wanted to just get to saxophone because I'd heard Stan Getz on recordings and absolutely fell in love with him. But I was like, all right, well, if I gotta start with clarinet, I gotta do that. But it was so rough. Like I had the rental public school clarinet, and I really think things were broken on it, and I just couldn't play it well. I don't even know what my setup was back then, but I was struggling so much, and it was squeaking and like. But anyways, I cut that short and then got to saxophone and asked my parents if they would let me just play one. So they rented me a Yamaha student horn, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah, I just don't think I should say for me like playing clarinet is just not as pleasurable of an experience as saxophone. You can't really like max out and like honk on it the same way.
Right.
I feel like you have to play with a little more control
Yeah.
generally. Um, and I feel that way especially with bass clarinet. Like,
Squeaks are already always around the corner
dude,
when I
bass
play.
clarinet, like I squeak on bass clarinet like it's my job.
Such
Like,
a great quote.
it's like literally people are like, we need a squeaky bass clarinet player.
You're like, I
How
got
are
it. I got it.
They're like, so there's this symphony Mozart wrote, and unfortunately, you have to play the part and then just randomly squeak throughout it. But it has to be completely random. That's the job I'd get hired for.
Yeah, I think like I know what you're saying. Like when I play clarinet, it's so like sensitive for me, and because I don't know it in and out, I'm just like on more of the back end of trying to basically not let it squeak.
Yeah.
Let it squeak.
But
Let it
the
squeak.
bonus of it is the size. I mean,
Yeah,
when you're
way
rolling up with a
bigger.
clarinet, it's like nothing compares to that feeling of having a little tiny clarinet. I want an E flat clarinet personally.
Oh, that would be cool. James instrumentalist saying on YouTube, coming from a bass clarinet player, squeaking is your full-time job, no matter who you are.
Yeah, like I don't I feel like even bass clarinet players I knew that were like really good still would sometimes. It's such a like
Yeah. I like to stick to the low notes when I play the bass clarinet.
I feel bad for like I shouldn't say I feel bad for, but I'm just glad I'm not part of that like woodwind classical vibe. Stuff is really hard. Incredible respect for anybody that can do the classical, the oboe stuff, the bassoon stuff. Like,
How many people tuned in are oboe gang, double reed gang, bassoon players? Anybody here? Flute players, clarinet players? Let's see ya. Comment in. Just curious. Yeah, I have so much respect as well for double reed instruments. I've actually never tried oboe or bassoon. Someone actually asked a question of if we've ever played classical saxophone. I'll just say, for a very, very short period of time, I was studying with a great classical saxophonist, Ken Rednowski. But I had told him ahead of time that like I'm a jazz player and I'm just kind of more interested in learning technique stuff, and so I didn't want to change my whole setup to the classical sax setup. It was just a little bit of like a tester to see how it would feel. It was just always on me. He's like, your tonguing is way too fat. Like your sound is not what it needs to be. Even when I kind of put the disclaimer in the beginning of like I'm a jazz sax player. But what I did learn with him, we did some Prokofiev, which was really hard and awesome. And then at one point, I was trying to nail some classical technique with tonguing. And that's when I discovered how to do tonguing. Just because I couldn't do whatever, I was trying to do something else, and suddenly my tongue started doing this like fluttering thing, and I was like, "Whoa, that's super cool." So no, never really dug into the classical sax thing. Huge respect for anyone who does play. But I am really stoked. I found flutter tonguing during my classical studies.
Um, yeah, I played some classical saxophone. The thing is, there's not really a lot of classical Barry. It's really just sax quartets.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was in a youth symphony when I was in high school. That we actually toured China when I was 17, and
Mm,
during that time, every once in a while, a classical thing would come up, um, like in the orchestra. Um,
right.
I remember one was Rachmaninoff Symphonic Dances or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's
Nice.
not called Symphonic Dances. Something. Anyways, I remember this one little passage that was like I really liked. It was like. Anyways,
Oh, it's beautiful.
right?
And your sound on it too.
Thanks. And I was gonna say I thought that it was really help. It was really helpful for me at the time to just learn to do vibrato. Um, because my favorite sax players at the time I was listening to, like the particular recordings they were doing, didn't have any like vibrato. Like listening to like a lot of Coltrane, it's like you don't really think of John Coltrane as like using a lot of heavy vibrato. Like he's very
Yeah.
like his melodies are very straight tone,
Very
like
straight
ba
tone. Yeah.
da da. It's
Yeah.
like so it was just like I was just forced to listen to a lot of, and that passage is normally on alto, but I was forced to listen to a lot of classical players because I wanted to learn the part, and I was like, okay, I have to learn how to do vibrato. So it honestly is the only reason I started using vibrato,
Hmm.
was because I like started doing classical.
That's super cool. Yeah, I think stretching into any other for all of you who are, finding your way with the sax and I know we have a lot of clarinet, oboe, woodwind gang in the house. It's like the more challenging and new something is, I always feel like it's even better to jump into it because you are going to discover something new. It's out of your comfort zone. It's when I was playing one of my mentors is like a really kind of he plays old school blues harmonica and his band is just like super blues rock and roll guys and I'd sat in with them. I remember the first time I sat in with him, James Montgomery and the band. I was like 13 and I was trying to play bebop sax over that stuff. We're talking about like, Muddy Waters, ZZ Top type of just like tempos that are like dum doom, 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 doom. And I was like, like, because I just didn't know how to
Yeah.
play over that stuff. And it sounded so off in the beginning, right? But I'm so grateful for the opportunity because it allowed me to get way out of I was uncomfortable, but it allowed me to just, I had to figure out what to play. And James would say to me, he'd be like, louder, less notes, higher, like you need to build your solo. Like the same approach of playing jazz and bebop was polar opposite of playing that music. So there's definitely always something to discover when going into different styles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really helpful to play different styles of music, and to study from the people that really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, just learning from people that and going to hear musicians that are like legit. Like one thing that I have put into a lot of my playing is like Balkan stuff, like um, Balkan music is like I think it's like one of the coolest styles of music ever, like brass bands. And one of my favorites is what's it called? Slavic Soul Party.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know
you
if you know.
shared some of that on the last workshop day playlist. It's sick. I was not
Yeah.
hip to this to the tracks you shared. So
Yeah.
cool.
So there's yeah, so there's right, isn't it like it's like almost like it has like a hip hop thing and like but it's also very like world music sounding. It's like very interesting. So Slavic Soul Party, they used to play every Tuesday in Park Slope in Brooklyn.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
the leader, Peter, he lives there. And I used to go like, I mean, I probably went 100 times, just hearing all the players and seeing what they do. And then my other favorite Balkan band is Balkan Beatbox, and the sax player, Maddox. I have actually gone to Israel and played with him,
So
um,
cool.
you know, because I feel like that's just like the best way to really um, capture a style.
I love that you bring this up, and this is really important, everybody. Like, I know right now we're in very unusual circumstances with COVID, so we can't, there's no live shows and stuff like that. But what Leah was saying about going to actually see live shows and see the performer, like I can't tell you how many shows I got to be like in the club watching these players, right? Like right there in front of Joe Lovano or, Frank Morgan or playing with like playing in front of or hearing Clarence Clemens live. And actually at one point I got to play for him, which was amazing. And like, we're really, really lucky to have YouTube and all this stuff to be able to watch videos, but there really is nothing like an actual in person, hearing someone sound right in your face, like seeing them do what they do. And then to take it another step further, like you're saying, Leo, like to actually get to play with someone who is a master at what they do. Because what I've noticed in my experience when I've been playing with Phil Woods or Lee Conant's, these great jazz alto legends, is without any extra practice, just being next to them and being on the hot plate, like I've heard new things in my playing because of that sonic, you're just, it's like nerves and preparation, but most importantly, just being there interspersed with someone's sound. It's like so, so priceless, those moments.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more effective um, as far as inspiration goes than seeing someone play live. Um,
Yeah.
it's just you have to be there.
Yeah, it's so so powerful. Um, this is a question from at SISI_1777. Is it possible to become a good musician without any musical talent? I'll dive in here. I mean, I think that talent is just a piece of it's just a piece of it. And the people who really end up winning and people who really make careers, professional careers as artists, and they have so much work ethic. They have so much drive. They have so much they're practicing the craft. I think there are people who kind of have a head start. Say if you grow up in a very musical family or there's some musicians that I know that just honestly breathe music and probably from a very, very young age they were playing it with their family or in church or whatever it may be, So in that way, you definitely have an edge, but there's nothing that replaces hard work. And I absolutely believe that with anything, you can you can become great at, at whatever you put your mind to. You might not become like absolutely amazing in the event that say you like just couldn't hear pitches for the life of you. I do believe that if you're going from like zero of if you're not able to have any pitch, you know, ideas, you can still practice it and you can still get better. There might be somebody who has like perfect pitch and they're going to start, you know, at a higher level than you, and then if they practice that, they're going to rise. But, all to say, there's nothing that replaces hard work and practice and diligence. And, the thing about the music industry too is there's a level where people become very, very good at what they do. And then there's at some point to become a great performer and to connect with an audience and to be an artist, there's a difference of being a musician and being an artist. And there's a lot of other things that come into play at that point too of how do you connect with an audience? What is your type of music? Do people like your besides your 251 licks, do they like your music? Can they do they want to pay money to come see you live? There's a lot of things at play there, but hard work is so, so important.
Yeah, sorry, what was the specific question again?
The question
Is
is it possible to become a good musician without any musical talent?
um to me a good musician is like someone that entertains people. So like I just feel like I have a different definition than maybe other people. Like that's all that's important to me is like that you can entertain someone. So I've definitely seen sax players that I don't think have musical talent really entertaining, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't always matter how in tune you are, how many notes you can play. A lot of times it doesn't. Um, I'm gonna use this one person as example. Not trying to hate, but the sexy sax man that plays the da da da
Oh
da.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think we all know him, yes.
I'm not gonna lie, like he doesn't really have that good of a tone. I'm really not trying to hate, but his tone is really not good. But
He's not my go-to for tone.
yeah, yeah, he's not who we're like calling for like to play like lead
Alex.
alto in the next like Disney soundtrack movie. Um, but he's really entertaining on like a huge viral level. Everyone knows him, and he had a amazing concept and amazing creativity, and a lot of bravery and just courage to go out and do it. And he made some of the most, memorable culturally relevant sax material in the last whatever years. So, to me, that's a good musician. So I don't know.
I'm,
That's
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you bring up that really important thing of like you need to define what good means, and everyone's going to have a different definition of that. And I think it's equally important to be practicing your musicality and then like you're saying, entertainment, stage performance. I mean, yeah, if you look at some really, really famous saxophonists that like the general public knows the name of, Kenny G, like there's a lot of jazz musicians that would like hate on Kenny G, but in my opinion, it's like he created his own genre. He's very well aware of his his performance, his look. Like there's something that goes with his long curly hair and the notes that he plays and the way that he creates like his atmosphere. And to me, it's like you really can't knock someone on like if you haven't even done their thing and you don't know what it takes to do their craft and their thing, like there's so much that goes into even in his case, playing just a few notes and the way that he sells it and does it, to me, I'm like, you gotta respect everybody for the way they do something, especially if it's like any type of popular in some way. There's like a reason why it's popular.
yeah,
It's interesting. It's really
it is
interesting to break it all
interesting.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, So, let's see. This is a question from Caden. Caden Malott said, "Can Leo talk about his experience at Manhattan School of Music?" This is a great question, Leo. Yeah, like lead us through MSM, and I'll also say a few words about Berklee. How many of you actually in the chat? How many of you are thinking about going to music school? Who is interested in like pursuing this on a deeper, bigger level? Maybe going to school for it, becoming professional at it, or becoming an educator. Anybody here? And I think this. All right, we definitely got some people saying me. So I know some of you are maybe in middle school or high school. So yeah, let's talk about our experience in school.
Yeah, I moved to New York when I was 18, went to Manhattan School of Music. Um, it was like I don't think I'd be where I am without going to school, but um, I think there's some people that don't need to go to school, if that makes any sense. Like for me, I didn't have enough, I was way too shy to just like move to New York, try to meet people, try to take lessons, you know? Like I had to like be in classes and be forced to be around people. I would say like the number one best part of school was the students. I felt like everyone that went there was really good. Um, and so many of the people that I went to school with, I still work with. It's like crazy. It's like
Yeah.
so surprising how many people come back. It's like, whoa, hey,
Definitely a community. There's
yeah,
nice.
um, totally. And specifically, my improv teacher was super important to me, Gary Dial. Um, he kind of taught me how to he taught me how to like digest changes and improvise. Like I could improvise good, but he taught me how to like read changes and be like, okay, I can just play through this. Sometimes you just need to like sometimes you just need to survive through changes. I know that's a kind of like a random thing to say, but sometimes you're just on that random gig or that random recording session where someone's like, "Oh, these are the changes," and you're just like E7 sharp like 11 like dominant sus over G like or something. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that was something that I had to get over was just like at least being able to get through changes. And I feel like he really helped me through that, Gary Dow. And it was just a really great community. I feel like um, you kind of had to choose to get a lot out of it though,
Mm.
because I feel like the teachers kind of had the attitude of like, listen, I'll teach you, like, but you got to like be like here for this. I feel like it's not cutthroat like a Juilliard type of thing where it's like you will be kicked out of the school if you do not learn all these tunes and blah blah blah. Like it
I
wasn't
heard it
really.
was so rough at Juilliard.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard it. Yeah, all my Juilliard friends were just like it was like the most stressful time of their lives.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's different now. We're talking about our peers and when we were in college. I did hear a similar thing too.
Right? Like I
Yeah.
heard that it was like either you're practicing or sleeping. That was like the Juilliard.
Different mentality.
But I also think that's harder. That makes it harder for people to really like work on all their stuff, you know?
Oh my gosh, this is so sweet. I just got to interrupt you for a minute. John just tipped some cash money on
Whoa.
YouTube and said, "At 52 years old, Leo, you show me there are still things to do with a Barry sax, so I just got one. Thanks for all that the two of you do. You both inspire me. Rock on." John, thank you so much. That's seriously so sweet. I'm gonna jump in for a second and then we can kind of jam on it for a second. I mean, I think like I feel very similarly as you, Leo, of like Berklee. I went to Berklee College of Music, and the thing that I loved about it is there was super diversity in the people. Like literally, I have friends from all around the world, and I loved the idea of Berklee because you could walk into any room and it would be like most amazing jazz musicians. There's like heavy metal bands. There's pop musicians. Now they've like there's music therapy students. There's music production. There's film scoring. They've like just kind of everything under the sun. And I knew I wanted to be in a school that really I could just be with other musicians that were playing all sorts of music. And so I did have an incredible community, and I still do. I work with people that I went to school with today, whether it's for TV shows or recording sessions or people knowing other people, and some incredible professors. I will say to just be perfectly honest with all of you, we were in a time when we went to college that there wasn't the type of online learning available that there is now. And I think it's so, so, so cool that basically you can kind of study with like anyone in the world, whether it's two Saxy workshops or, just there's so much more access now that you can, and people are offering way more. And I think, you really got to think about I wouldn't want any of you to get into a financial situation that you can't afford. This is huge, right? Like, I really don't think you should go in debt to go to school. And I was really fortunate. Both of us were very fortunate to get full scholarships to go to school. But you got to really think about that because there are other ways and financial ways that you can still get an incredible education, whether that's doing online courses and then literally moving to a city and hanging out with the community and going to jam sessions and meeting people and like there's other ways to do it that might fit your circumstances better. So, those are all really important things to weigh. And I would never, I think both of us would never be one to say you have to go to music school. If anything, I think there's so many other avenues to research these days. And, I think I would just recommend to all of you that you really think about what do you want. There's also ways, I thought about this before I decided on Berklee, but you know, there's ways today that if you wanted to seek out studying with one teacher in particular or wanted potential like mentorship, you could potentially go to that person and be like, "Hey, I'd love to study with you for the year and just do like a college. Would you offer like a college mentorship just with me?" And like I would assume that that would be less than a college tuition. And you might be getting way more attention. And, the thing about college, especially at Berkeley too, you got to know what you want out of it and you really got to go for it. Like you were saying, Leo, it's a big place.
Yeah.
And if you think if you kind of take the passenger seat to just be like, well, I don't know, like things will just like, I'll just figure it out. It can actually be incredibly overwhelming. I found that it was a place that you needed to take driver's seat and be like, I want to seek out this professor because I love what they do and go to their office hours and talk to them and connect with them. And otherwise, with 4,000 students and so much going on and just, you know, of course you're going to naturally find yourself in different cool opportunities, but if you really want to get like the most out of it and your time there, then I would say kind of going after what you want and figuring that out is really important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
But there's so many different ways to go about it these days, and great things for you to all like talk to different people about. And great question. Um, so listen, let's take one more question, and then everybody, we're gonna peace out today for office hours. But um, do send us if you want to get feedback from us. A lot of you are asking technical sax questions. This is the place that we give video feedback. So you can DM us on our Instagram at We Are Too Saxy with your 1 minute clip. We're talking about right now changing formats for the office hours perhaps soonish. So if you haven't sent in yet, thinking that you just do it in the future, I really recommend that you just get those video clips in now before, saying I wish I had. But we absolutely love spending this time with all of you. So, and we'll be back next week. And also be on the lookout, everybody. Come October 10th, that's a Saturday, we are going to do our next workshop day. It has not been official. The links aren't out yet, but let's just give them a little overview to get excited and mark that day off in your calendar. We're going to do it from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. ET. Anybody here joined us for the first workshop day in August? It was a lot of fun. It's basically an immersive day of learning, but we're going to be going over how to build your practice routine. A lot of questions about practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then following up.
Articulation, which I haven't gotten a chance yet to go into like a full articulation thing. Like I've talked about it a little bit. I like briefly discussed it, but now I can like really talk about what's going on mentally, physically, and honestly, just like how to manage the art of just tonguing articulation, going through it. It's a whole thing. It's I feel like it's the basis of everything, of my sound, of my ability to dance, everything. It's a really huge part of my playing, and I just want to share it with everybody.
So pumped for that. That's for, by the way, the art of your practice routine, open to all levels. We're going to show you exercises and walk you through a breakdown of how we practice, how you can log your progress, really important things for everyone. That one, Leo, that you're teaching solo, that's for all levels. I'm going to follow up the day with a jazz language workshop, and we're going to focus on two really important common jazz chord progressions, the 2-5-1 and the 3-6-2-5-1. And I'm going to show you guys how to identify those chords great ear training practices, also how to craft your own lines on that and to improvise freely, hear that stuff. If you want to build your vocabulary and ultimately have like much more musical freedom with your phrasing, with your improv, you got to learn to hear these chords and to play over them. It's not that you have to play on them, but it's going to just help you. It'll help your ear. It'll help your playing. And then, as always, we end the day with a really fun T-Saxy virtual jam session and Q&A session. So, it's going to be happening October 10th. We will follow up with all of y'all with the ticket links and stuff. It's an amazing time, and we leave you with PDF workbooks. We go through exercises with you. You get your acts out. We bring people on to do one-on-one work. Anybody who's been at a past workshop, you can let people know, let our community know how it's hit you. All right, let's do one more question, and then we are gonna peace. Let's see. Um, what do you do when you are frustrated with your musical skills and your level?
I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm like that does happen to me. So, like on a pretty regular basis. So, I
Too.
I keep playing. I don't know. I go back to honestly I go back to fundamental stuff.
Mm.
Like you ever like play a lick that you used to be able to just like and you're like and you're like, wait, am I worse than I used to be? That stuff always really gets to me. When I feel like I can't play something I used to, then I have to go back and be like da 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 da, like
Do you
break it
slow it
down.
down?
Yeah, break it down, slow it
Ah,
down.
see, we really practice what we preach. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
totally happens to me.
I was just doing some like approach tone stuff, and I was just like, and I was like, whoa, I gotta slow this down and really just learn it.
You got to be like very, what I've noticed is you have to be so honest with yourself of like, no, this is sloppy. Like, there's almost like an OCD nature of it when I play like, oh gosh, this could be cleaner. So let me just really work on cleaning this up and focusing in on it. Deep breaths are great. I think just in general, when you're frustrated with your musical skill and level, it's actually great awareness that you're in growth mode. So first thing is just to recognize that, right? Like, I'm gonna sprinkle in a little self-love there. Um, if you're thinking in the practice room that you're just the shiznit and that you play everything amazing, you're probably not practicing the right stuff. But if you are constantly kind of up against not you're frustrated as you're playing something, you probably are practicing something that you need to get better at, which is great. And then yeah, I feel very similarly, Leo. It's like slow it down. The thing about getting better and like progressing to the next level is all this stuff takes time. Like, I wish there was just a magic dish that we could serve to all of you and just be like, boom, like now you're on stage, you're playing. Like, we've spent so many years, literally so many years crafting what we do today. And it's still continued, like, we're both still working on all the stuff. So, I think just there's baby steps of progress. And what we're going to talk about October 10th for logging your progress, it's very helpful because sometimes you don't really realize how far you've come without really like logging it and looking back at where you were. Um, but yeah, deep breaths are good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of the Friday. Much Saxy love to all of you. We'll see you next week for office hours. More info very soon about our workshop day. And send those videos in if you want them to be reviewed. All right.
Peace
Peace,
out.
everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.